Hello and welcome to Bud's RPG Review, where I give my thoughts on role-playing games, card games and board games. Welcome to the first in a series of Redux reviews, where I revisit my earlier videos that were recorded a few years ago on substandard equipment and with less in the way of production values. The aim of this is to enable me to tighten and expand the writing, adding further insight where appropriate, and produce something of superior video and audio quality to the original. Today's review is the first video I ever recorded on my channel, the Agent Handbook for Delta Green the role-playing game by Arcdream Publishing. Okay, first a bit of history. Let me preface this by saying I'm a huge fan of the original Delta Green RPG, and over the years I've actively sought out and digested pretty much everything ever made for it, and when I originally heard that Arcdream Publishing were planning to release a standalone Delta Green RPG, I was excited to say the least. Released in 2016 as part of a hugely successful Kickstarter, the Agent Handbook was the first book of the new line and is a 192-page hardback that is also available as a PDF. I backed this on Kickstarter at the Get All the Books level, and since my original review, the setting has gone on to win 6 ENnie Awards, achieve mass critical acclaim and go on to have a second successful Kickstarter which will spawn a further 4 hardback books. Okay, to the book itself. The first thing that struck me originally was how they had flattened the logo, moving it away from the original box design. I feel the box design looked a bit better, but I can live with it as it is. The second thing that struck me was the art and the cover. I really didn't like it when I first reviewed it, and I'm still not sold on it. The original Delta Green had a really interesting cover, and this one makes a lot more sense with the subsequent release of the Handler's Guide, which offers some insight as to the reasoning behind it, but I can't help feeling it could have been a bit better. Right, to the book itself. We are greeted upon opening the book with the now expected array of strange documentation and cryptic notes. I love this kind of thing, and it always has me intrigued to know the backstory and does a great job of drawing you in. The first chapter deals with the idea of what Delta Green actually is. Whenever people ask me about Delta Green, the only comparison I tend to make are the X-Files meets True Detective, season 1 of course, with a healthy mix of impending doom and an uncaring universe. The first chapter goes some way to fleshing out player expectations from the onset. They talk about the Delta Green fundamentals, the handler, and the mood the game is to be played in. Chapter 2 goes on to discuss the players themselves, the agents. It has a step-by-step guide to creating an agent which is really quite easy and intuitive. There are clear differences between the Delta Green system and Call of Cthulhu. The absence of an education score and the introduction of bonds stand out straight away. More on bonds later. Otherwise, the stats are lifted straight out of the basic role-playing system. It then goes on to list the usual professions that are associated with Delta Green. The likes of federal agents, doctors, historians, people with skills that could be useful. The game designers settled on FBI agents being the best fit for Delta Green, and I have to say this remains a clever choice, as the skill set that FBI agents have seems to fit the mood of the game, and they are also used to wielding firearms and experiencing violence. They then go on to discuss skills, which is pretty much par for the course for this type of game, as it lists base chances and what you can expect to do with your skill. They do introduce 2 brand new skills, Humint and Sigint. These represent human intelligence, essentially the skills surrounding the use of psychology, and signals intelligence, which encompasses things like encryption, surveillance and code breaking. They've also replaced the Cthulhu Mythos skill with the Unnatural skill, and like the original Cthulhu Mythos skill, this can't be increased by training and only goes up by exposure to the horrors that lurk in nearby dimensions. The introduction of bonds is an absolutely fantastic idea for this type of game. They represent the relationships with people outside of Delta Green, family, friends, psychiatrists, that restore your sanity and keep you together after experiencing things man was not meant to experience. In between missions, you have the option of doing things with your bonds to help you keep your tenuous grip on reality. There is a danger, however, of developing bonds with other Delta Green agents, which has a negative effect on the other bonds. The next chapter discusses the game itself. It's pretty much basic role-playing with a few tweaks that make it more Delta Green. It also defines who rolls what and when. Additionally, there's an interesting take on criticals and fumbles, where they define a critical as a 0-1 on percentiles or any double that falls below your skill. For example, if your skill is 20%, you can perform a critical roll on a 0-1 or 11. This has similarities with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 2nd edition, and the result of a critical is generally double or half, double damage or half the time, i.e. picking a lock would take 5 minutes instead of 10. Fumbles are a 0-0 or double above your skill chance, and these leave you much more at the mercy of the handler. Opposed tests have been tweaked too. Pursuit, for example, is now based on a number of successes, similar to skill challenges in D&D 4th edition. The book also delves quite heavily into mental and physical conditions like exhaustion and sleeplessness and how to deal with them. The combat section is good. Basically, dodging bullets is impossible unless you have cover to duck behind, which absolutely increases the deadliness of firearms like it rightly should. Also, some weapons have a lethality rating. This means that they have a percentage chance of instantly killing when they hit, and if they don't, whatever you roll on the percentiles is resolved as 2 times d10 damage, which could be enough to kill you anyway. Poison and diseases are detailed fairly thoroughly too. The chapter on Sanity, the mainstay of this kind of game, is again well thought out and makes a lot more sense than the old Call of Cthulhu method of you suddenly and for no real reason getting fear of chickens or the number 13. They also detail all the methods of restoring sanity. In the old days, it was a case of dropping an agent off at the local asylum. In Delta Green, they've taken a more modern and varied approach, projecting onto your bonds, for example, which gives players a variety of options. They also have a whole chapter on home. This is the agent's chance in between missions to pursue personal goals, improve stats and skills, establish new bonds, or even gain new training. Essentially, a development phase. It also deals well with the implications that performing Delta Green missions has upon an agent's professional life. I still find the chapter on equipment requisition a bit dull, though again I still see the requirement for it. I found the chapter on the various federal agencies to be very informative. For an Englishman like myself, reading how the various American agencies interact with each other was really intriguing, and this has been expanded upon in the recent publication, The Complex. The section on tradecraft is really informative, and the information on disposing of a body was disturbingly fascinating. Since its original publication in 1997, Delta Green has been a setting that prides itself on its no-holds-barred approach to the horrors that lie beyond the veil of reality, and the foul and insane people that worship them, and the bold decision to make a stand on its own 2 feet as a game in its own right has turned out to be an inspired one. Instead of replacing Call of Cthulhu, people now play both. In fact, for many people that I've spoken to, it's replaced Cthulhu now as their modern version of the setting. In retrospect, the book remains incredibly well designed. It gives the players exactly what they need to know and nothing else, while hinting at things that lurk on the fringe of reality, something I know that the writers discussed at length, and it absolutely works as they intended it to. There are no spells here, no monsters, no cult write-ups. In fact, there is little information beyond what a person would know in the real world. There is just enough to roll up a character and foolishly journey into something where they have no hope of emerging victorious. The cover aside, the art throughout is fabulous, and the production values, something the line has won awards for, are top drawer. Almost every victory in Delta Green is a Pyrrhic one, and this is expressed with aplomb in the look, feel and design of the game. I scored the Agent's Handbook an 8.5 out of 10 when I first reviewed it, and continue to believe that it remains a score that the book deserves. If you enjoyed this review, please make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Also, if you're interested in buying this product, I've put some links below. Lastly, if you like what I produce here, then maybe think about supporting me on Patreon. Bud out.